Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be watching Skeeter's Naga Siren. Now, I'm actually watching this and making this video right after game 2, so currently in my timeline, Tundra is up 2-0. We'll see if they win. Obviously, it looks like they are going to. It'd be crazy if Secret comes back 3-2. That'd be wild. But either way, I wanted to look at this game because, man, this looks on paper like the worst Naga game of all time. I would put Lesh and Pudge as two of Naga's top counters, but it just doesn't matter because it fits their playstyle and they just dominate regardless. Like right here, they even have a Lich, right? It's like, Lich is even pretty decent against Naga, theoretically in teamfights, right? The Frost Shield's pretty good. Whoever gets netted, you Frost Shield them. Pretty straightforward, right? I want to say the Lich was like very clear to me why they picked it. I think it was to prevent certain physical damage picks here, right? Because it's really good with Lesh. The Lesh with Frost Shield is really good. But yeah, we're going to be focusing on the Skeeter Naga Siren because, as I said, they let the Pudge through, right? They actively let Pudge through. They were just fine with it. And 33 goes for the Tidehunter, which is pretty crazy to me because I look at Team Secret and I'm like, Midnight Pulse, Rot, Lesh damage. This is not a free Tidehunter game. But man, that even might be a guide I have to make, how he plays Tide this game, because he made Tide look like a hard counter to all these heroes, which is crazy with the, with the game that he had. So let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like literally with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. So one thing I will say is I think Tundra really understands the value of mangoes. This is probably an AUI concept, I'll be honest. I think mangoes are one of the best items in the game. It's a lot of mana, but like Naga doesn't even need the mana, right? She doesn't even need the mana. Early on, you don't need the mana. So why would you have them, right? It seemingly makes no sense. It's just the HP regen. It's literally better regen per gold than a Ring of Health. Like if you were gonna buy casual Ring of Health in lane, you could just buy 6 mangoes instead. And that's not as much regen, but it's like way cheaper. You get it way faster. And it eventually gives you mana if you decide to consume them. Of course, you lose the regen when you consume them, but you never really have to if you're going to buy a Ring of Health anyway, or if you're going to buy extra tangos. I basically just believe mangoes are pretty broken, honestly. I think the item is in a pretty stupid spot. And you can see Tundra obviously agrees. I wonder if anyone else has mangoes on their team. 2 on the Hoodwink, and I would imagine, yeah, and 33, every time I watch this guy's replays, he buys a ton of mangoes. Yep, first thing he ships out, 2 mangoes. Hoodwink, 2 mangoes. Other hero, 2 mangoes. I'm surprised Imran doesn't have mangoes. She has branches, so she's gonna be clicking people with her good base stats. But yeah, either way, getting into the lane, he does get shared tangos, so this is something pretty standard for Tundra. They share a lot of tangos. They basically put a heavy priority on increasing the net worth of the cores early on, right? So they really like to feed them shared tangos so that they can save gold and ship out tangos as their first item, because he still does that, right? So if you're gonna go this build and you're gonna get tangos from your support, you can ask for 1. 1 is honestly enough. He didn't even really need the second tango in this case. It was actually wasted a little bit. But yeah, in this lane, he rushes the tangos, doesn't actually pop mirror image too early, does a good job of pulling creep aggro onto the range creeps, but this isn't too much of what I wanna focus on. I wanna focus more on the mid game, where he controls the map and hits stupid good timings. When it comes to Enigma, honestly, the key to this matchup is just to pull the creeps away from the tower. He doesn't want to get tossed under tower by the toss combo, right? Tiny toss. And the early levels are not necessarily that easy. However, later on, when you start to build up attack speed and you get your treads, typically you can easily run down the Eidolons because Riptide and your auto attacks are all physical damage. One thing that Skeeter does that's very different from other players as well is he'll consistently skill net. And this is even a pre-skilled net. He didn't use it yet, right? He's taking net actively, which is kind of crazy considering he's leaning against Enigma. You would almost think like, right, he has a way to block the arrow. Why would you skill the net? But I think he sees it as pressure, right? Potential, even if they can't line up an arrow, I actually don't think it has too much to do with arrow. I think it has much more to do with just putting pressure on with auto attacks and the eventual mirror image. In terms of items, I really like that he ships out everything individually. He shipped out the Wraith Band recipe individually, he shipped out the boots individually, then he shipped out the Band of Elven Skin individually, and now finally, only because he's starting to get gold faster as the lane progresses and he gets stronger, will he ship out, the Gloves of Haste with the Sage's Mask. But even that, he doesn't wait for the Band of Elven Skin from the Yasha, just ships out his big item. And yeah, now instantly he can look to jungle if he needs to, right? He actually stacked a camp for himself. What in the world? Who does this? So he clears the 6th wave, and so the wave's just pushing into the Enigma. He knows that there's no creeps to get, so he actually prioritizes stacking. He's gonna lose a lane creep for that, right? Yeah, okay, I guess it's worth it. It is more gold for sure, and then that was just a crazy arrow from Snake King, but the net comes in handy. Really, the net really comes in handy. The only problem is it's a bit mana intensive for sure, but it's a 2.75 second disable. Really long. It does hurt Riptide quite a bit though, because Riptide does double in armor reduction, so it's a little bit rough, but not terrible. From there, once you can shove out the wave on Naga, you do. Typically, you're not going to look to pressure people on Naga. You're just going to do the 2-2 split. It's very easy to set control groups from this, and the main reason why you do this is so that you don't proc the active abilities of the neutral creeps, because neutral creeps will proc their active abilities once you send 3 units next to them, right? So if you only have 2 and 2, the active abilities of the centaurs or the tomatoes will never proc, and that's good because it saves you HP and keeps your illusions alive. But yeah, he's basically just gonna always rotate back to the top side of the map. If you do happen to counterpick one of these unit heroes with Naga, which is one of the most common times you'll see Naga in the current meta, against Lycan, Beastmaster, Enigma, Visage, any of these heroes that require or use summons, Naga counters them because they can't kill the illusions. She currently has 18 armor. 18! Right? If she's not near the tower, 15. Oh, that's so bad. 15 armor, right? This is where they actually feed. This is just a good play from the boys. That was a nice gank. Try not to get too baited by your team. Your hero's pretty strong early on. Like, if you have stuns, you do a ton of damage. If there's no stuns, don't go in. You don't do a lot. But off stuns, like, I can see why he tried to kill the Enigma there. He wanted to defend the tower, and the Tusk TP'd in, which is a strong hero. But even right from here, he's going to start cutting waves. So he clears the mid wave, but what he does particularly well is he summons illusions to enable this. Right? So as he TP's in, and he clears the wave, he instantly is going to send the illusions up and pass to tier 2. The tier 1. Then he's going to clear that out, once again doing the 2-2 split. In that circumstance, honestly, I would have suggested doing just sending all 3 illusions down the lane to make sure they could kill as many creeps as fast as possible. But yeah, over and over again, 2-2 split. It's a very simple concept. Getting farmed on Naga is very easy. Once you have treads, you can jungle. You can jungle pre-treads, but like treads is the main time where if you don't know if you should be just jungling or primarily jungling, treads is that timing, because Naga jungles faster than G lanes. The only exception is if you're laning against one of these unit heroes or a hero that can't pressure you, right? You do want to be returning back to your lane. You want to be shoving it out with your illusions or your main hero just to amplify your farm. So the most common rotation is clear the wave, these 2 camps. If it's dangerous or you're afraid of a hero, go deeper into your jungle. If it's not, you can then clear the wave and then clear the deeper camps, right? And you basically just try to clear these before the minute, then these before the minute, and 2 waves in between that, right? And if you can rinse repeat, that is the best way to get farmed. As he picks up a casual Windlace. I love casual Windlace. I can't believe more people don't buy casual Windlace. I think the item is just it's just movement speed. I think movement speed is inherently broken. Because, like, I don't know. I could go into a whole rant about why. I'm not going to do it right now. But I just think that casual Windlace is so good. Now, in terms of farming Ancients, I think he can do it soon and could consider it. The thing is, he's kind of playing more towards top because he can take the farm away from the Enigma, and he can still farm out the top side, where if he farms Triangle, he's going to be mid, which is not good because he would take the farm away from Tusk if Tusk is there. And then the other option is to like force your Tidehunter to TP top, which is also kind of crap, right? So like, he doesn't want to take the farm away from his teammates, and so that's what he does, right? He doesn't take the farm away from his teammates. He instead sends the illusions to the top wave, cuts the top wave, farms it up, right? Farms up the jungle, farms up the mid wave, actually, in this case, primarily because the Tusk was not in the area. And then once again, cuts top wave, kills the jungle camps, and yeah, just shredding through the map. And this is why his Naga is so potent, right? Yes, this Leshrac is more farm than him, to be fair, but Nisha's 4-1, right? Nisha's 4-1 and has nearly the same net worth as this Naga Siren. This hero farms faster than almost any other hero in Dota right now. So the only time he specifically TPs out of top is you can see in his jungle here, the Lesh and the tiny are in the area, and he's of course very afraid of them. They have so much magic damage, and he certainly wouldn't survive an avalanche toss into Lesh stun. So he TPs out, right? Before you TP out though on Naga, you always want to send illusions down the lane. This is the same thing for Terrorblade or Wraith King. You always want to send your long-lasting illusions down the lane before you TP out, because it's going to cause the enemy to want to show, because otherwise you're going to shove in the wave and they're going to have to catch it. Instead of being able to play this jungle and catch the wave here, they're going to have to run all the way back to here, which is really inefficient in general, right? It's really inefficient. And so you always want to try to clear the wave when you can. And he actually opts to carry Pupil's Gift over Vambrace. I think the reason why he does this is he knows out of all of his teammates, he'll probably get the most value out of this item. He wants the HP specifically, I think. I mean, to be fair, the Vambrace makes him really tanky, probably slightly tankier just because of the magic resist against Pudge and Lesh. But yeah, he uses the item really, really well. Anyone can use the Vambrace, right, effectively. Probably Tusk is who's gonna use it. So yeah, only now at like literally the, what was it, the 15, 16 minute mark does he rotate out of the top side. You want to stay there as long as you can and just enable your offlaner to farm. And you might be like, oh, but what if my offlaner leaves his lane and doesn't farm? Which is extremely likely to happen. In that case, if all the fights are happening near your quote-unquote lane, then just swap the map, right? I'm not telling you have to stay in your lane regardless of the circumstance. I'm just saying, if your offlane's farming, don't kick him out. If you're having a bad game, still don't kick him out, right? Just farm your neutrals, farm your jungle, wait for the enemy to push in the wave, connect, clear it up, and go from there. As he picks up a Void Stone going into the Orchid. I really thought he was going to rush Bloodthorn this game. Such a great Bloodthorn game for the Mage Slayer against Pudge and Lesh. I was surprised he didn't go for it. He actually opts to go for the Heart, so he wanted to be completely unkillable as he finds it go into the Lich here. This is a great kill because Naga in the early game can struggle to kill people if they're not separated from their teammates, right? He does have the Orchid now, so he could look for something, and I think they're sort of looking for it here. No, okay, they're not. Is he's going to clean up the jungle camp, back to the mid lane, going to send the couple illusions down mid? Yeah, so he sends 2 illusions down mid, 1 towards the bottom side, and at this point of the game, when you have like Orchid, these illusions are so strong at clearing waves that you only need 1 for camps and waves, and you'll easily clear it out. Like, easily you'll clear it out. And now at the 25-minute mark, he's going to complete his Heart. And this is where kind of these counter matchups, I wouldn't say they go out the window. Like, this Pudge is really, really strong. For instance, his level is really low, which is kind of funny. If you look at the levels of the game, the levels are really spread out. Like, this Mirana is level 13, while Puppy is level 11. Right, the Mirana is the position 5. And the Naga is actually kind of under-leveled. But this is really normal for Naga, where he's going to be way higher net worth than the Pudge. Literally 6k net worth higher than the Pudge. However, only level 14, and it's because you're not getting the XP of the illusions, but it doesn't matter. But he gets his Heart up here, they can go. And the only thing I would say that I was surprised about in this case is that they didn't leave with the Orchid. I thought they would try to potentially prevent the Flesh Heap from going off, but yeah, it just doesn't matter. The Pudge gets absolutely annihilated. And this is why Naga can do fine against Pudge, even Lesh, right? If you can get that Orchid off at the right time before they get their spells off, you actually are quite good against them, right? Because you farm a very early Orchid, and you don't have to overcommit with it. You can just Orchid, net, send illusions, and really poke the enemy out. And you can see even here, you might be like, why is he not running in, right? Why is he not running in? Why is he not just YOLOing in? It's because it's just not a top tier Naga game, right? They have the Leshrac, that's a counter. Pudge is fortunately dead here, but he still has to be a little bit cautious, right? He's kind of playing the outside. He doesn't want to go near Nisha. He understands that Nisha, well, to be fair, Nisha's about out of mana now, but he didn't know that, right? He's not directly keeping track of that, at least not at the moment. And so, yeah, it just doesn't run in. You don't want to take unnecessary damage, and you don't want to commit on the hero that you don't kill, right? So he does a really good job of just staying disciplined and not over-focusing Nisha on the Leshrac in that fight. And from there, he's doing a great job of just bodying with his illusions. You can see he kind of just sends them forward there and tells Secret, hey, I see you, right? I know what you're doing. I know what you're up to. You can't really catch us off guard. He sends 1 illusion to bottom now, and you can see he has control groups set up well, but he sends, okay. He sends 2 bottom and 1 to mid. And the thing is, how it works is if these illusions proc Riptide, because it's every 6 attacks, right? So every time anything attacks 6 times, everything around the map procs, it's global, right? So this will proc like crazy because of the bottom creeps. And so even if this fight went poorly, as it certainly does not, right? This fight certainly does not go poorly, even though they They had to disengage because they like wasted Ravage or whatever. I think that was the fight where they wasted Ravage. I'm not exactly sure. But he cut mid, right? And because he cut mid before that fight started, because he's so damn efficient, Secret's gonna have no way to leave the base. The next thing they're gonna have to do is clear a mid wave in front of their tower. They're gonna have to show right in front of their tier 3 tower, a very defensive part of the map. And looks like, okay, so Secret is going in here and they get caught. This looks kind of disastrous. Oh, but that's a snowball from heaven. That's a great snowball to help them kite out a little bit, but things still look suspect. They'll have to kite out, and this is what I mean. It's a horrible Naga game at this point of the game. So, and he understands that. So instead of just YOLOing in and saying, oh, it's a hard Naga game, but I have hard, I have to go in. He waits until this Lesh is getting low on mana. He waits until his team can come into position and cast Ravage and cast all their spells. And most importantly, he waited for Orchid to come back up. And one of the things that makes Skeeter such a top tier carry is his ability to just have confidence to play away from his team. Right, to be fair, the Pudge and the Lesh are dead. There's absolutely nothing that threatens him. Lich and Tiny can't do anything. But he cuts the mid wave and then gets to bottom. And most players kind of get stuck in one lane. If you're a pub player and you're a carry player and you're not sure why you're not gaining rank, even if you're not playing something like Naga, you could be playing any hero. Even if they don't have units, right? You're probably just not splitting up the map enough. And I can tell you for a fact, you're not splitting up the map enough. And most certainly, you're not able to identify the wave you should cut in the mid to late game and when, right? What I mean by that is a lot of the time people get this wrong. They think, oh, I'm playing Naga Siren. I heard in a gameleap video, I'm supposed to cut waves and split the map. And then that's all that they do. But the reality is you still have to connect to fights and at the right times. For instance, here, he's a little bit hesitant to go on the Lesh. Doesn't Orchid him because he knows there's a Lotus on the Lesh track, so it would kind of just be a waste. But to be fair, he does do it here, and the reason why is the Lotus was used. So sure, it gets reflected, but it doesn't really matter. It makes sure that the Lesh dies, and honestly, at this point, the fight is really easy. And as I said, the only thing that can lose them the fight is if he gets gone on. And the reason why is he has his shard. And this is another thing that I think is broken about Naga. If you cast Song, it heals everyone around you for 40% of their max HP. Literally 40% of their max HP. So if Tide gets gone on and he clicks Song to save the Tide, Tide's gonna heal back up, right? To a very high amount of HP. Probably 50% more HP. You know, including all the items that Tide has to heal with at this point in the game. Maybe even more if he's able to anchor smash a creep wave or something like that. Right, so you might be like, why is this build so defensive? He's snowballing so hard. This is such a lame build. The thing is, he just has to not die. He just needs to go in, be able to cast net, go in, kite them out, force their BKBs, right? That's a big goal of his. For sure, as the Naga Siren, you want to be the guy forcing BKBs with your illusions and not committing your body in. And if you do end up getting caught right this game, he needs the BKB to exist. He needs it, right? But once again, even in this fight, he does go in with the net, but you can see he turned around to kite out. He's like, I don't want to get black hole next to the Lesh track. I don't want to get black hole next to the Pudge. He needs to kite the edge of the fight. Even here, probably didn't have to Song, let's keep it real, but he does go for the Song that's going to heal up everyone very significantly. I just want you to look at 9 Tusk's HP here after the Song comes out. So let's say he's about, what, 800 HP here? And he's just going to start healing. Look at the healing, right? Look at the healing. He's just healing like crazy. And by the Song ends, he goes from 800 HP to nearly 2 grand. Slightly over 2 grand, which is pretty nuts, right? It's pretty freaking nuts. And only now does he go on the Lesh track because fortunately he was able to live through the black hole. It wasn't actually close at all, let's be real. I mean, he got to like, what, half HP? It was close enough, but gets off the Song, Heart of Tarask, buys time. They go onto the Lesh. No Orchid actually in this case. And you can see why this Lesh is such a bad matchup. Even with them 26k ahead, it takes them like 3, 4, 5 seconds to kill him. And he was out of mana, so there's a reason why he's kiting the edge of the fight. It's because he has good matchups. Some games, you're just against like Ricky, Bounty Hunter, Ogre, Magi, and you can kind of just like YOLO in, right? You can just stick with your illusions, and when you have your Heart, Bloodthorn, or even just Heart, you can just YOLO in. You just run in, face first, plant yourself in front of them, and there's nothing they can do about it if you're farmed enough, right? If you're poor, you'll just feed and die. But if you're not poor and you're doing the 2-2 split and cutting waves and doing everything that Skeeter does, well, you could be in a good place. Even here, same thing. I know I'm rinse repeating, but it just goes to show how consistent these players are. Nothing they do is generally unintentional, at least for the most part. And so, for instance, here, he kites out, thinking about saving 33 with the Song. I'm sure he has it in mind. And eventually, the Ravage Song combo comes out. That's a classic. And now finally he's actually able to pick up a Scotty, which is really great against the Bloodstone BKB that this Leshrac has. Actually, does he even have BKB? Oh no, he doesn't. So it doesn't even opt for BKB this game. And now finally to wrap up the game, he's going to complete his Bloodthorn. He's got the Paladin Sword, which is going to amp the heart healing, give him some lifesteal. They get the Aegis, BKB, and Backpack, and they're going to look to smoke. At this point, I call this the Tundra Classic because every single time I watch them, they smoke up this high ground hill to try to end the game. Maybe it's because they're winning all the time, so they have to make this play to end the game, but 33 sieging the high ground. Completely unkillable, but even here, even 41 minutes into the game, he's got the discipline not to run in, and instead he lets the Tiny overcommit, pops the Bloodthorn, prevents him from getting off his toss, and that's an easy kill. And then even then, when the punch gets low, he doesn't really go in immediately. He thought about it for a second there for sure, but he doesn't commit, he doesn't waste his time. Instead, he's going to play the edge of the fight and kite out, right? As the black hole comes out, because he's smart enough, even with Aegis and a heart and a Bloodthorn and being 15k gold higher than the Leshrac, he still understands what his job is in the fight, which is to poke people with Illusion's Net and Bloodthorn, and then Song to save his teammates, right? And that sounds crazy to people. It's like, what? You're telling me as a carry? You're telling me as a carry, I'm not supposed to just always hit people? That's not my main goal in the fight, right? Yes, especially with your main hero on Naga. It's absolutely not your main goal. As here, I would even expect him to toss at the net. I guess it could be Lotus, so he doesn't want to do that. He'll toss it out onto the Pudge instead, and the only reason why he's going on Pudge here is the Pudge is just so poor. Right? He's so poor, and a couple of heroes are dead on the side of Secret. The Black Hole's on cooldown, and so they feel relatively safe as they absolutely shred the Lesh. And that's going to be the end of the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. It's just, I don't know, I'm going to have to do some replay analysis and just overall replay analysis. I'll probably post it on the website about just like what Tundra does so well, because I can't even cover it in a video like this. I mean, I covered some things here and there, but just on a macro scale, I'm so fascinated with how good they are right now. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.